Hi, my name is Armando and I'm a junior studying computer science. Here at Mines, I'm involved in club soccer, Kappa Sigma, dance club, Mines Catholic, and MAC in the spring free days. I study computer science because I enjoy solving logic problems. I welcome you to this CSCI Mines Python video. Today, we're talking about creating your very own functions in Python. But first, let's start with a good quote. No one in the brief history of computer science has ever written a piece of perfect software. It's unlikely that you'll be the first. Such a true quote. We all just do our best in coding. You've been using functions for a while now. For example, use the print function to print a string to the console. Use the input function to get a string typed in by the user. Use the len function to find the length of a provided sequence, such as a list. Wouldn't you like to create your own functions? Let's learn how. In Python, we create our very own function with the def keyword, which is short for define. We then provide a name for the function such as greet, and then follow the function name with parentheses. If we want to pass an input variable or input variables into our function, we put these variables inside of the parentheses. These input variables are known as parameters to the function. In this example, we have named our function greet and passed in one variable, which we called name. We then print nice to meet you, followed by the name we passed into the function. We then call our newly defined function just like any other function. This slide shows how you can take an example algebraic expression and convert it into a function in Python. Notice we define our function f of x just like in the expression. The function then prints the addition of 2 to the x and 5 times x. We will talk about how we can return what is printed in this function in our next Python video. One more thing before we move on, notice the colon after the function definition. Don't forget to include that. There are several reasons you should want to create functions in your own code. First, you can reduce repetitive code by combining code you need again and again into one function. Then you just need to call the function anytime you need that code. A second benefit is that you can hide the implementation of the function from others, so they don't have to worry about the details of how the function works, which makes the code that uses the function simpler. This is the power of abstraction. That is, we call f of x anytime we need to calculate f of x, without having to know and type in the explicit code for f of x every time. That's awesome. Similar to an if statement or a while statement, everything indented under the function definition line will be a part of your function. As a reminder, indentation determines scope. We suggest you pause the video and type both of these programs into Python, and then compare the outputs. Did the output of these two programs make sense to you? Even though the statements are in the same order in the two programs, the order of the output was reversed. This is because the second print statement is part of the function in the first program and not part of the function scope in the second program. Thus, in the second program, the second print statement is printed before myFun is called. Let's talk about scope a bit more. Because of scope, variables inside a function are only accessible to that function call. For example, in the hello function shown, the variable sentence is local to that function. This means that we can use the variable sentence inside of the hello function, but we will get an error if we try to use the variable sentence outside of the function. In other words, the scope of the variable sentence is only in the function. Time for you to practice a bit more. We suggest you pause the video to write a function that takes the name of a person and their favorite color as parameters. Then the function should print a sentence that says, John's favorite color is pink. Did you get your function to run correctly? Here's my solution to creating this function. Notice the keyword def that says we are defining a function. Then notice the name of the function I chose, print favorite color. And lastly, notice the two parameters in the parentheses. Inside of the function, we then print out the desired sentence using those two parameters. Let's take a look at one more program with a function. Does this code work? This code won't actually execute, and the reason why may not be obvious to you. In Python, we cannot call a function prior to defining the function. You'll want to keep this in mind as you're writing your Python programs. We hope you now have a good understanding of how to create your own functions. We encourage you to practice your new skill. As you know, the more practice you do, the better understanding you will have. Thanks for tuning in. See you around campus.